Hey everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Let's Chat About Death. My name's Chris, and today we're going to be talking about I think death being so taboo. We've done other episodes quite similar to this before, but I think just from a conversation that I had this morning with someone, I thought it was important to probably just reach out again and just sort of talk a little bit more about it. Look, we're even getting a little bit of applause there. That's great. Yeah. So I hope where you are at the moment, you're doing all well. I hope you've got through the... we've just come out of the Christmas and New Year into 24, and everyone seems to sort of have some type of resolution, don't they? We all go into the year going, oh yes, I must lose weight, or I must, make sure that I don't pick on the neighbors, or, just do something for yourself, or make sure it doesn't happen. I mean, put your hand up. I can't see you, but I'd be interested in how many people put their hand up that you actually had a resolution that you'd like to fulfill. And I'm sure there's probably a majority of you. If you haven't, that's okay too. Because, sometimes we put something out there and then we go, you know what? Nah, it's not going to work right at this minute. Doesn't mean in 2 months' time that it's not. But one of the things I guess we take for granted is life. And I don't know what that has to do with resolutions, but, well, actually I do, because, having something that is going to better your life is a plus. What we've got to remember moving forward is we only get one of these. We only get one of these bodies that we're currently in. No one's ever come back from the other side to tell us anything different. Like, don't worry about this one, because the next one you're going to get is, wow, that's like new generation, so up with technology. No, we haven't had anyone come back. So until that does happen, we have to just improve the one that we have. Now, saying that is... The more we ingest things into our body, the life expectancy probably drops a bit, so what I'm saying is the more we drink, the more people smoke, the more people they eat fatty foods, is the likelihood of that our life, your heart might play up, or, we've all gone through that pandemic thing, and that had some side effects for a lot of people, and it's now time to make that change, and a change for the better. Now, I guess, when we think about the death being taboo, is we all know that it's going to happen, don't we? Like, we all know that there comes that time where we're going to go, okay, it's coming near, Life expectancy is anywhere between, say, 70 and 85. So if you're over the age of 40 or 50, that, hopefully your life lives on a lot longer, but you start to sort of look at it and go, look, all I need is a really good 10, 20 years out of my body, make the change, and it's all good. So living correctly or living better is going to give you more extension of life than not. Does that make sense? So if we, families will look at death as a really sad experience. And I get it. okay? Because it is. It is. Like, we are built as humans to undergo emotion and let our mind play all sorts of tricks on us during this time. But the only thing that we are saying farewell to is the earth body. We're not saying farewell to the soul. And whatever your beliefs or, religious connection is, that's entirely up to you what happens after this. But the biggest thing is, I guess if you've lived a good life, what I'm trying to get to is if you've lived a good life and you've given it all, then the prospect of passing, hopefully, should be a good one. Then you probably think there's nothing good about passing. Well, yeah, probably not. But we're going to do it. You can't change that. It's going to happen, right? So I've heard a lot of people, and even today, saying, no one talks about it. No one talks about death. No, they don't. But that is the whole purpose why I'm doing these podcasts and educating the community with why we should be talking about it. Why is it how it is? Oh, because it's so morbid. Well, society has made it morbid, unfortunately. And everything has come with, trauma, or, if something happens and, a traumatic event happens, I get it, right? And there's and look, even someone that's lived to 100 years of age, but celebrate 100 years of that person living. Funerals or death is for the living, not for the deceased. Now, people might be saying, yeah, but hang on, we're celebrating their life. You are, but you're lucky or honoured to be a part of their journey through their 100 years of their life, or 50 years of life, or even 20 years of their life. Whatever capacity that you've known this person for, how honoured and privileged are you to be a part of that? So I want to try to educate as much as I can. And I think you, as the listeners, have you ever spoken about what you want to happen to you? Have you spoken to your parents if they're still with us? Or, have you spoken to your husband, partners, or girlfriends, boyfriend, whatever, wife, and your children? Have you ever spoken about that? Now, I know the response you're going to get is, oh, I don't want to talk about that. But talk about it, man. Just do it. You only really have to talk about it once or twice. Iron it all out, record it down. And I tell you now, if you don't have a will, go and do it. And if you have a will and it's out of date, go and change it. Get it right, because too many things happen, and especially those that have got young kids. They think, oh no, what happens if you and your partner, something happens to both of you together and you've got kids left and they're all under the age of, say, 18, then, and there's no other family around, they will then be divvied out to the community. So they're going to be split. That's a huge scenario, but you would want that. So for the sake of $800 or $500 or whatever it is for a will, that's $800 well spent. Because then that your family's safe and there's not going to be that commotion when something does happen. So talk about death. It's not, as simple as, do you want to be cremated or do you want to be buried? There is another thing, especially in Australia, called aquamation. I think overseas is like that too, but we're very limited to aquamation. We don't have it in Victoria, but in New South Wales, I think there's a dealer that does it there, where that's water cremation. Well, then it wouldn't be a cremation, then would it? So water disposal. Not my cup of tea, because it's like a high-pressure hose. Do I personally like any of the options? No, I don't. But I guess with cremation, fire, it's purifying. If you're into burial and you want your body to be whole, then that's great too. There's nothing wrong with that. Each and every one of you will have different opinions on what you want, and that's good too. You might have a whole family that wants cremation or burial, or you'll have one family member that'll want cremation and the other ones want to be buried. So, time is now. If you want to have a burial family location, then go and pre-purchase those areas. You're not preempting that you're going to pass right now or in 2 weeks' time or anything. You're making sure that you have secured the area that your family is going to live in for eternity, or for as long as we know. Because once we're gone, we don't know what happens. I've never heard of any, in my time so far, that things have moved or been dug up or whatever that haven't been under 100 years. What happens after that? I'm not sure. I don't think anything will happen, but whose eternity are we talking about? So talk about death. Make it less taboo. That's the whole idea of why you're probably listening to this episode or anything related to death, is because you've got an interest in it. If you don't have an interest in it, then welcome. You may after this. I'm not sure. So address the concerns, address the worries, address celebrating people's lives, and maybe document a little bit of their life story, be it if it's via video or via digital recorder, phone, anything. Just maybe ask your parents, where'd you grow up? How many brothers and sisters did you have? Especially if they haven't had much to do with their aunties, uncles, or grandparents, or how families are. They can be very, very rigid or very distant. So start documenting that, because at the end of the day, you've got to think about, what will someone say at my funeral? Okay. Now, if you were to get up and I've said this to my family, and if my family's listening, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Make those memories. Because if someone said, you could say, well, look, mum, dad, or whoever passed away, and they're going, I'm so sorry. So it's fine, because you know what? I've celebrated those memories with him or her or them. We have celebrated, and I'm okay with it. It's sad, yes, but I know I've made those memories. So I've said, tell me what you would say right now. I'm putting you on the spot, and I want you all to think about this. What would your kids or family say if something was to happen to you, whenever? What do you reckon? Do you think they could get up and tell a story about your life? Yeah. It's a big one, isn't it? Like, do you reckon your kids could get up there or your family get up there, or partner get up there and say, that Joe Blogg was born this time and went to school here, and, like sharing those memories, like, and then we went on a cruise, or we went to Fiji, or we went to Queensland, and, or mum or dad taught me how to ride the bike, and or was really there for all my sporting. Like, tell me, or you think about it, because you can't tell me, because it's not a two-way it's not a two-way episode. But have a think. Would someone be able to get up there and tell a story? And I would put money down on the table today that majority of you would probably say, probably not. All right. How do you change that? You change it by talking about it. Correct? You change it by involving other people in your life. The older generation, so grandparents and great-grandparents, in their time, it was like everything was private, and if they went to war, well, then that was unless they mentioned it, you never mentioned the war, right? But on the other side is that's the stuff that you want to learn. Because once they're gone, history's gone. Yeah, you can watch it on TV, but it's not your family's history. How many of you know much about your grandparents? How many of you know much about, or even your parents? How much would you know about a generation before or a generation before that? I reckon majority of you wouldn't. And I'm probably thinking 80% of you don't. That's just a figure I've popped out of my head, because no one talks about it. Because that person's gone, they feel, I'm not going to bring it up because it'll make people,
Wow.
too upset. And you need to talk about people that have passed. That makes the journey of when something does happen to someone a lot easier because that you are still with that person. But we're only guided by our parents or our motivators, whatever it is in life, teachers that will teach us what's right and what's wrong. And if they call a banana a apple, well, then we're going to believe it's an apple. But we really need to get down to the start of everything and recalculate where we want to be, because I guarantee it, by the time my kids grow up, everyone's story will be different, and no one's really going to know about the generation before or whatever because no one talks about it. But it's important. So that will then make the journey of talking about death, maybe change the word, change death to something else. Passing, I don't know. Moving on. I just change it. Maybe it's that word death, because it's pretty full on, isn't it? Like death, like death, and everything to do with death tends to be demonic. Everyone thinks, all these zombies and all that are going to come out, and it's all about the evil. It's not. It's not. That's people have made those stories up to make, and all these horror videos or movies, they're all just for entertainment. But a lot of people take it to heart, like, I can't think about it, But, I believe there's got to be something, and we need to talk about it. And, hopefully we'll meet up with the people that have gone before us. We won't know until we're there. Hopefully it's not just an empty void, which I'm sure it's not. But once again, that's just my thing. Some people believe in reincarnation. Some people believe, or you'll hear people go, I reckon you've lived before. Well, then that's got to be a thing too, isn't it? Have you ever, just thinking about that, have you ever thought about what you would want to come back as? So if you got another opportunity to be a human person, which obviously that is human, would you want to do that? And then maybe kick some butt at school and be the thing that you've always wanted to be, but you just haven't been able to in this time? Or would you like to be an animal? Would you like to be a tree? I don't know, a rock? Like, what would you want to be? I've always thought, I don't like the idea of going back to school, but I guess you wouldn't think about the other life because you're in the new one. But, like being a bird, flying above everything, and no worry in the world. The only worry that you have, I guess, is getting food. But you don't have to pay tax. You don't have to pay, insurances. You don't have to pay, superannuation. Nothing. All you have to do, this bird wakes up, flies around, eats, sleeps, gets up, does the same thing. But wow, what a journey. So if you start creating little segments in your mind about death, then hopefully it will make it easier when something does happen to someone. Correct? Yeah. And if you, for those that know me, this phrase always comes out, but if for our side, if we can make a good experience out of something traumatic of a death, then we've done our role. And they've done their role as a family because they've followed what that person wanted. Now, if you're unfortunate enough to have not been able to find out from that person prior to their death or their passing what they've wanted, then yeah, that makes it a little bit more complicated. But you as the living then have to make that decision. And you have to then live with that, which is good. You know, and if you find out down the track somewhere that they wanted burial and you've cremated them, well, you know, I'm sure they'll forgive you because they haven't told you. They haven't told you. They've gone, no, I won't tell anyone. I don't want to talk about it. Well, unfortunately, that's their issue. But then on the other side, maybe that's something that you needed to say or ask them, but you just didn't know how. Well, you know what? Take the risk. Sit all family down and say, look, I know this is really weird and we're talking about it, but tell us what you want. Tell us what you want. Yeah. Or I want to learn about your life. Or mum, dad, can you start typing it up, writing it down, whatever. Because there's 24 hours in the day. Not everyone is working 24 hours a day, nor are they eating, nor are they sleeping for that period of time. So if there's downtime and they want to do, it's actually quite rewarding when you start talking about life. Start talking about your own life. We all have those time gaps where we go, I don't really want to have to talk about it. Well, don't. If it's something, you don't have to tell everyone your innermost secrets because they're personal. But the things that you would want people to learn about you, that's important. That then, once again, I'm going to say it, that then makes the journey or the thought about death less taboo and less scary. The time is now to act and just do it. There's probably not another word than just do it. Let's kick some butt. Let's make the change. Let's turn death upside down and just, yeah, let's be it as positive and as rewarding and as, I don't know. You know, some people say, well, you know, death is death and that's it and we move on. And yeah, well, you do. Fortunately, life doesn't stop. But, you know, for us to live our life without those people in our lives makes it harder, but you still have to live. And you don't want to destroy or destroy your mind and your body for the sake of that. That they had their time, whatever time that was. So they were probably doing exactly the same thing. But if we can make a change and change how we feel and whatever and listen to us with these podcasts and, you know, just, I don't know. Hopefully I'd love to hear from anyone that gets to do this. And you can do that via our TikTok. Let's Chat About Death podcast. We're on TikTok. You know, just make a comment or listen to your podcast about death being taboo. And I did it. We spoke to my family. So TikTok, Let's Chat About Death podcast is the name. And yeah. So I know this episode's been short and sweet, but I think, you know, after talking to this guy today and chatting to him, and he said, wow. He said, yeah, that all makes sense now. And he was a bit nervous about the whole death talk. I mean, he brought it up. I didn't. but he knows exactly what I do. And I was wearing a Let's Chat About Death podcast T-shirt, which we do have merchandise for those people that haven't looked. Go on to our TikTok, Let's Chat About Death podcast, and there is a link under our bio at Shopify, and there's some merchandise on there. And I'd love for you to buy some. And yeah, so then people go, wow, what's that? Death. You into death or whatever. And not that you're into it, but you're breaking down the myths and misconceptions, I guess. That's the biggest thing. So, but thank you very much to everyone that has joined us for this episode. And you will hear my my dulcet tones for the next podcast. So whatever you're doing, enjoy. And until we talk again, take care. Bye.